Run a PHP script automatically at a specified time. So you have a PHP script you want to execute on a regular basis. Although you could run it manually, it would be much easier if you could do it automatically. If you're using Mac, Linux or similar, there's a tool called cron. I'll come to Windows in a moment. Cron will run programs according to a schedule you define. These programs are referred to as cron jobs. The schedule is located in a file named crontab, short for cron table. That's where all the jobs and the time they need to run are listed. Cron reads this file and runs the jobs according to each one's schedule. The cron table can look a bit cryptic, so let's take it step by step. The cron table is a text file that contains one line for each different job. Each line contains 6 fields separated by spaces. The first 5 specify when to run the job, and the 6th specifies the command for the job itself. The first field specifies the minute past the hour and is a value from 0 to 59. For example, 30 to run a job at past. The second field specifies the hour and is a value from 0 to 23. For example, 14 to run a job at 2 in the afternoon. The third field specifies the day of the month and is a value from 1 to 31, for example 21, to run on the 21st day of the month. The fourth field specifies the month of the year and is a value from 1 to 12, for example 8, to run it in August. The fifth field specifies the day of the week. It's a value from 1 to 7, with 1 being Monday, 2 being Tuesday, and so on. For example 5 to run it on a Friday. And finally, the sixth field specifies the command to run. So this entry says, run this command at 2:30 in the afternoon on the 21st of August and on every Friday. You can also add a list of values separated by commas. For example, this would be 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. You can add a range of values, which is 2 integers separated by a hyphen. For example, this would be February to April inclusive. And you can use a wildcard character, the asterisk. An asterisk represents every possible value for a field. For example, this would run a task every day at 12:45. The first 2 fields are the minutes and hours, 12:45, and the next 3 fields say every day of the month, every month of the year, and every day of the week. And you can add a step character, which is a slash followed by a number. This specifies that values are repeated over and over with a certain interval between them. For example, this would run once every 2 hours at 0 minutes, so on the hour, and every hour with a 2-hour interval between them. There's a very useful website here where you can test your crontab values to see if they're what you meant. There's also some examples of common crontab schedule expressions. To edit the crontab, use the crontab-e command on a command line like this. It's just a text file with one job on each line, as we just saw. When you save and close the file, the cron table will be updated and will start running the tasks according to the schedule you've created. We'll look at an example in a moment. If you're using Windows, you can use the task scheduler to do a similar job. I'm not going to go into this in detail as the GUI is pretty self-explanatory. An easier alternative, which might be sufficient for your needs, especially if you don't have access to cron on your server for some reason, is to use a web-based cron service. There are many available, just search for web cron. And these sites will call a URL on your site based on a schedule you decide. There are various sites, some free, offering different features. You do have to make sure that your script is publicly accessible though, and as it's running as a web page, it will time out after a certain number of seconds, so that's something to be aware of. But if you're executing a fairly quick task on a not too often basis, this is an inexpensive and easy solution. Let's have a look at an example. Here I have a simple script that simply writes out a message to a file. So that we can see the output of cron running the job quickly, I'm going to set this to run every minute. So let's go ahead and add this to the cron table. Like that, and all asterisks means run it every minute. So once we save that, the cron tab is installed, as you can see. Now if we look at the directory, there's an output file, so it started executing every minute. We can see that it's writing to the file, and we're not running this script manually. It's running on its own automatically.